because I participate in their entrepreneurship program to help the youth know that you can be an entrepreneur at such a teenage year's age, right? Because I have an 18-year-old licensed nail technician in my shop right now.
Yes,
because they have it in the school, right? You have to, if you want to grow beyond where you at, you have to put yourself around them. And so I try to find out the information, not just for myself, but for my customers, for the youth, for my siblings, for other community leaders. So in
winning mindset,
2820,
flawless living, made simple. Tierra Walker, hustle and shine. Yeah.
Tim got that heat.
We on the grind, never taking time.
What's up, Flawless family? It's your girl, Tierra Walker. Welcome back to another amazing episode of Winning Mindsets, Flawless Living Made Simple. Now, the lady that I have sitting before me today, we actually have just met in this past 2 months, and she is a leader, a business owner, a mentor, a mother, a wife, and someone that I just want to make sure that you know better. Now, she and I, Mrs. Lisa Lawton. So welcome, Lisa.
Hey,
yes, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Yes. Now, every year I make it my intention to join a cohort. If you don't know what a cohort is, cohorts are systems and programs that are put on normally by an organization, a government entity, nonprofits, and different professional development organizations in order to help you to better serve, whether it be your community and your business. And in this particular case, me and Miss Lisa met in the esteemed LEFCO leadership cohort. Now, this cohort is in partnership with Portsmouth Partnership here in Virginia. So, of course, we're in Hampton Roads, Virginia. You guys hear me all the time, especially if you're watching the home tours, say that Portsmouth is my favorite city. Now, the benefit to me is that I get to meet all of these amazing leaders because there's 30 of us in that class. So you better know that you're going to be seeing and meeting some other LEFCO leadership cohort members throughout the rest of this season. But I had to start with Lisa because I consider this lady to be the queen of Portsmouth, okay? We have been in the cohort now for over 6 weeks, and it does not matter who walks into that room on a panel, on a board. Lisa is not only familiar, she knows their name and the ticket, okay? So I said I got to get her over here because she is a business owner, but she's also a foundational seeking business owner that is always looking to not just empower herself, but her own community. So Lisa, let's get into it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So like I said, I'm so happy to have you on the show. And your business is Nailz 2C,
yes,
and more. And this is now recently relocated into Olde Towne Portsmouth.
Yes.
Now, you know, I love Olde Towne.
Yes.
And it is so comfortable to walk and see all of the things that have changed there since I moved here, right?
Okay.
So you're originally from Portsmouth.
Right.
What was it like growing up in Portsmouth?
Well, where we were raised in Portsmouth, we was raised in a community called Federal Homes.
Okay.
Some people will call it a Camley Park.
Okay.
But I call it Federal Homes.
Okay.
And it was when we first grew up, we was in Douglas Park. That's where my grandmother lived there because my dad was in the Navy.
Okay.
And so my mom worked a lot.
Okay.
She was a teen mom as well. And when we transferred from military housing, we went to Federal Homes.
Okay.
And Federal Homes was just an affordable housing community. That's what it was. Everybody had a house in Federal Homes because it was fairly reasonable. You could get a 3-bedroom at that time for like $333.
A month, right?
A month.
Yeah.
And you got 1 bathroom, of course.
Yeah.
And you had your front yard, you had your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, we was renting the home. We didn't own it,
Yes.
but all of the community kids loved to be around us. There was 8 of us.
Oh.
My mom and dad, 8 children.
What number are you?
I am the 3rd oldest.
Oh my God.
So I got 2 oldest brothers, One is a barber.
Oldest girl.
And I'm the oldest girl.
Oh my, I know. I'm the oldest girl. I know what that's like.
I'm the oldest girl.
Yes,
I'm the oldest girl. All my mom's children are entrepreneurs. Some way, shape, or form, or fashion. Yeah.
8 of y'all.
8 of us.
All entrepreneurs.
All entrepreneurs. And listen, my dad was the neighborhood mechanic.
Okay.
And now that we old enough to know the difference, he was an entrepreneur in his own right. He just didn't realize that.
So that's where those foundations came in. Huh?
Yeah. We realizing it now. We didn't realize it then. We realized it now. And my mom was the manager at Tasty Freeze.
Oh, okay. No, that's cool. That's really cool.
We always been around leadership skills.
And they must be super proud. They must be super proud that they were able to raise you guys and you all to seek out entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we know that it's just not an easy choice or an easy feat.
Exactly.
So now, you grew up in Portsmouth and you decided to start your business in Portsmouth, but of course your foundation is Nailz. So what made you get into that?
Well, what happened with that was I've never been to a Vietnamese to get my nails done.
Okay.
Let's start there.
Okay.
I've never had a Vietnamese touch my hands.
Everybody look good too.
Thank you. Every person who's ever touched my hands always been somebody African American.
Okay.
And the young lady, she was from New York. Yeah, she was from New York. Was she from New York? Either New York's, is New York and Bronx the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So she was from that area. And she was older. I met her through Redevelopment and Housing Authority, and I used to like her doing my nails.
Okay.
And at the time, I was a stay-at-home mom again.
Okay.
And so one day, my baby boy's father, when me and him was dating, he asked me, we was just talking because I was stay home. He was in the merchant. And I wanted to go to school, so he told me to find out how much the course was.
Right.
And once I did that, I took Miss Sonia Edwards' course. And I started doing this because I liked seeing Miss Vanilla doing my nails. And so it just, at first, it was not even really about career choice.
Okay.
It was just that I liked the fact that she was doing my nails, so I wanted to try it out.
Right.
I'm a curious girl like that.
Yes.
And so I started doing it and loved it ever since. It's been 25 years later.
Really? So what made you so you was inspired by her? You were a stay-at-home mom at the time, so the kids must have been about ready to go to school when you was thinking about doing this.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, because I know that timeline is normally like around 4 years old, where you start saying, okay, they're about to go to school. What I'm gonna do next?
Right.
So,
well, they actually, when I started doing nails, I started when I was 23.
Okay.
At this point, my oldest son was 10 years old.
Okay.
Because I had my son when I was 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was different.
Yeah.
It was different. A lost young lady looking for love in all the wrong places. I was fascinated with boys. So,
you know what? Let me tell you something. I just think that I'm happy that you brought that up because I don't know necessarily. I mean, your story is your story, okay? Right. But it's interesting to me because I have when I left Baltimore, so I grew up in Baltimore City, okay? And when I left Baltimore, hold on. All right.
So you're smart.
Thank you. So you figure that I'm happy that you brought up having a child at 13, right? Not because we know you are a strong woman.
Yeah.
I get sick of us being strong for real, but we're gonna talk about that in a minute.
Yes.
But this is what I wanted to address because I love bringing on different guests because it gives me an opportunity to kind of I'm a talker.
Yes.
And so I grew up in Baltimore City. And, having now been in Virginia for almost 30 years, right? It is definitely a different upbringing and experience, which is why I'm thankful to be raising my children here.
Right.
When I left Baltimore to finish out high school, which was in 1995, okay? I left Baltimore in 95 or late 94.
Okay.
I had 11 Black children.
Oh, wow.
Because so many of my girlfriends, right, had already had children.
Okay.
So you figure whether they were a little bit older than me, because I was home with a little bit older girls, so they'd be like 2-3 years older, or whether it be sexual abuse, right?
Okay.
So I was very early introduced to teen moms, right?
Right.
And I just think it's a generational thing because in my mind, okay. I just think God plans for the kids, we plans for them. Right. reason I say that is because now, right, like, you know, I have an 8-year-old and I'm in my mid-40s, okay? My girlfriends that had kids at 13 through 20, been free for a decade.
Praise Jesus.
And when I tell you, sister, that whatever y'all had to deal with from that 13 to 18 or whatever age it was, I know it done paid off in buckets, okay? To be 38, 35, 40 and be no kids at home. Honey, listen, you know, so I just want to just say to you and all the teen moms, okay? Honey, you made it. It might not have been right in the moment, but you did right. Because you get to have your adulthood on the other side.
Yes.
You know, and the thing is, when you have good character and good integrity, it does not matter when you bring the kids in, right? Because it's about you. Because I know for a fact, like, I had my oldest daughter at 23. And I knew right then that my life was changed, right? I knew my life was changed. So I made and set the intention on how I would do my best to raise her, no matter what I had going on in my personal life. I had other girlfriends that we were all having kids around the same time that didn't set those intentions. Now here we are 25 years later, and you see the difference in who set right intentions and did the right things with the children, and who they involved the children around, how they participated with the children, how much they were involved in their lives, education, and so on and so forth, right? So my point in bringing that up is to say, all that matters is the parent's mindset when the child comes in, right? So it's like, yeah, you were 13, you had a lot to overcome, but look at you now and free. And so, girl, so come on, get a 5 on that. Because, honey,
look, when you said 23, I'm sitting here saying that I was pregnant 7 times by the time I was 23. 5 living children, 2 I miscarried.
God bless.
And I couldn't wait for them kids to get adults.
Yes.
So I can enjoy this thing called life.
Yes.
And that's why I'm living my life like this now.
Absolutely.
Because I had to put it on hold.
Yeah,
you had to put it on hold.
And you have more than earned it. Yeah. You have more than earned it. And so I just wanted to just take a moment to say that, because I just know the difference. Like, I have so many girlfriends, and most of my friends, you know, their kids are grown. And then I have other girlfriends where because my kids are spread apart. So, you know, I had some in the 20s, and then the remaining 2 in my mid and late 30s. So you figure that to have kids spread that far and to be raising kids now going to be into my late 50s. I mean, that's a huge difference. You know what I'm saying?
That's a difference.
So I just want to just salute you for being able to not only survive, but thrive, and most importantly, maintain your sanity.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because the gift of a sane mind is greater than anything. I don't care how old you are. If you can think clearly, you can think your way out of it. Right? You can create a new circumstance, a new situation. So I just want to just take that aside, just give you a salute, because with 5 kids have them all raised now, and be able, you told me right after this you're going to see your grandbaby. So I know things.
I got 7 grandchildren.
That is a blessing. So I just want to just salute you and honor you and all the teen moms out there for making it through it. Because yes, you were younger. You might not have been able to have all the opportunities for income at that time, but to have been able to work it out and make it, girl, you did that. You know what I'm saying? So you deserve some love. Yes, ma'am. You deserve some love. And all my homegirls out there that's on vacation right now, because they ain't got no babies too. Okay?
Listen, so, I was asked to be a part of a book, a chapter in a book called From Teen Mom to Entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And what I tell people is, you can be a teen mom and still have a successful life.
Yes, Lord.
Hear what I'm saying, though. I'm not saying go out and get pregnant. That's not what I'm saying.
Absolutely not.
But what I am saying is, once it happens, if it happens, get mentored.
Yes.
And we gotta remember what mentorship is. It's just about accountability. Somebody holding you accountable for what you said, and if they see you straying, they put you back on that path.
Absolutely.
It's not anything to tell you what to do, tell you how to live your life. No. It's trying to help you make the right choices.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But we all need somebody to hold us accountable and to help us make the right choices.
Yes, that is for sure. I mean, and I appreciate you sharing that. And so I'm just so happy for you. So getting back to you starting doing nails when your oldest child was 10.
Yeah, he was 10. and I had just had Davion.
Okay, and that's your youngest?
He's the youngest.
Okay.
He's 25.
Okay.
He's 25. So he was some months when I started. I had to go to school for 12 weeks. The course was only 12. It was only a 12-week course. And after the course, I dived right on in. I started at a barbershop. Then I went to a couple of hair salons, and then I ended up at with Platinum Nails with Nikki Garner Dance.
Okay.
That's an all women's nail salon. Now, let me say, that was the best experience, one of the best experiences I could have had. So, to fast forward from then to now, I tell you, it wasn't an easy course though. You know, because I was put in a position where I was around the best, some of the best nail techs that was out here. So here I am, the new kid on the block, just starting out, trying to master this technique, because it's just a trade, and nobody wants a new person because they think you don't know. Yeah. And you know, so I had to sit up under all of that, and they would give me the walk-ins that would come in, you know. And at that time, we was right across the street from an exotic women's dance club. Oh, okay. So we used to get those women come in frequent, right? And so, but I'm grateful for that opportunity. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to sit amongst some of the baddest nail techs that was back in those times. Because we talking about 2000. My son was born in 2000, and we're now in 2026. So between 2000 to 2005, 6, 7. I was with Nikki for a long time. That's good. And to this day, if I called her, and she's not even in the nail industry anymore, she's gonna pick up that phone. No, that is a great. She's gonna pick up that phone. If I call Sonya was my instructor. She's gonna pick that phone up. Anybody that I've ever did business with when it came to the nail industry, we are still in contact. No, that's right. We're still in contact with each other. No, that's really, really good. And so you did that for a few years at that all women's nail salon. Yes. And so what made you finally take the leap to actually starting your own business? Well, I will say this. It probably would have never really happened the way it had one of my best friends' mom when it passed. Because I was not in the best mental, emotional state at that time. You know, I was a teen mom, and also I had mommy issues. So I had to get through all of that, dig all of that out, stop blaming folk, take it for what it was. And my girlfriend mom had passed, and I remember going to the services, and she hugged me, and she said, "Lisa, you only get one mama, girl, get it right." You know, it's so crazy that you said that, because I recently, my very best friend recently lost her mother, and for sure, you know, like to go through, like, you know, it's not me. Yeah. It's one of my very best friends. Oh yeah. I understand. And to go through that with her. Yeah. It's so funny you brought that up, because I had a conversation with somebody about this yesterday, where it's kind of like I was already on the path, right, to say, okay, you know, my mom's getting older. Thank God she's still with us. My mom's getting older, and so, you know, there are some things that, in order to care for her at this stage, that being who I am, right, and who I intend to be always, right, I can't care. You know, so I've already known that, like, over this past maybe 2 years, where it's like so evident that in order to love her fully in this late stage of her life, and as she, you know, gets older, that I could not hold that, because you can't hold something and release it, right? You gotta either open your hand or close it. Right. And if I had my hand closed, how can I hold her, right? Because now is the time she needs me to hold her, right? And so seeing her to go through this circumstance, and the loss of her mother, who, you know, was an amazing woman. She raised amazing women, you know, and to see her going through this, it just really solidified those points for me. Right. So I'm thankful for you too, that you were able to see that, and to be able to experience it fully in that relationship with your mom. Were you guys able to get things on track? Right, but that's what I was gonna say. if I had never got saved, that played a big part. I got saved when I was about 24-ish, 25-ish. I found God around about that time, not too long after my girlfriend, mom passed, and then I went back to their church, and I got saved in that church. And I had to grow. I had to learn, I had to grow, I had to learn how to grow, and I had to forgive. But I had to learn what that was, because we weren't in a home where church was a priority for us. Like my grandmother would take us, my dad's mother, my grandmother, she would take us with her to church. And we would really laugh when we would see people catch the Holy Ghost. We don't laugh about it now because we know what it is, what it feels like. But at that time, because we was young, we didn't know, right? Fast forward, when my mom had her stroke, I was with my first husband at the time. And I got the call. I was a manager at Harris Teeter. So in between doing nails, I always had a regular job. It was only to probably about this less than 10 years, I'll say, I've been a full-time entrepreneur.
Okay.
But I've always had, because I had a couple of health scares with cancer. I was dealing with fibroids. There was a whole lot of stuff I was dealing with. And I got the call from my siblings that my mom had. At this time, she was working at Walmart as a door greeter. And they had called my brother, and my mom had passed out. And when they got into the hospital, they had realized she had a stroke. And so, because my life had changed so much, my siblings was like, well, Lisa should be able to take mom with her because she's married. She don't do nothing, go to work, go to church. So mom will probably be in the best interest with her. And I had a home where I could take her, right? Compared to what everybody else had at the time. And my dad. And so I had my mom for 3.5 years. And during that time, but before she got sick and she did all that, I was trying to make amends, but I had to work on these emotions. Yes. Because if you let your emotions get the best of you, you ain't going to really be able to get through anything, because you're going to be carrying around a whole bunch of stuff because you're living in your emotions. Right. And so, to make a long story short, we were able to patch some things up, but I now understand, because I'm on mature now, that my mom was young herself. When she had my brother, she was 15 years old. So then by the time I come along, she was still young. She was still a child herself, you know. And I'm my mom's oldest daughter, and my mom was her mom's oldest daughter. And so you realize, once you start learning, walking with different people, being in different atmospheres, maturing in Christ, it's a cycle that if it ain't broken, it's going to keep repeating itself. And I think many of us, we don't realize that. So when you see your children doing something, your children are mimicking what they've already seen, the type of environment they was in, what was said around them, what was done in front of them. They even if it's wrong, if the parents is doing it to them, then what you think is gonna happen? No, it's a repeated cycle. And so to this day, I love my mom. She always loved her. Even when I was having mommy issues, my mom is, I'd like to say, me and my mom is 20 years apart. My mom is 69 now, and I will be 49 this year. So we're 20 years apart. Actually, today is my sister's birthday. Oh, that's nice. My sister that's under me. And and that they're all together. And I told them I couldn't be there because I was going to do this interview. And they respect that, because they know I do a lot, whether it's in the community, whether it's work, whether it's something in business. I'm just in a different headspace right now. I'm trying to take my life. No, that's an amazing story. And I will say honestly, like, my dad, he passed when I was a senior in high school. But my whole life, he told me a few things that have stayed with me. Right. And one of the things that he said to me was that wisdom is observing others and choosing what not to do. Right. And when I was younger, I had a slight understanding, but just like you said, as you mature, you acknowledge it, because I've always been a person to observe other people and decide what I would do based on their results. That's right. And so I would honestly say that I know so many generations before us, because me and you are very close in age. I think we're only a couple years apart for real. Okay. You figure that
I think that what happens is that those prior generations to us, because we're Generation X, right? I think those generations before us, they didn't have necessarily the words, right, to be able to know how to evolve mentally, right? Meaning that, like, you can look back, you know, to the 70s and the 60s, right? And all the generations, and you can see different people, like, for example, like a Nikki Giovanni, right? That you know that until her death, she was constantly seeking evolution of her own self, right? And we just use her as an example just because she's someone that we can both understand, right? And you can clearly see, like, if you look at her poems from when she was a young woman to when she passed, and the stories that she shared, or if you look at her old interviews, you see the maturity because there's an evolution, but it's a choice. Yes. And you have to choose to go down those dark paths of your soul in order to evolve and grow past those things that hold us back, right? That's right. And so what I find sad sometimes is that those generations right before us, our parents, some of them might have had the option to, but just chose not, right? And like we were talking about before we turned this camera on, right? The reality is, in governing my life with the idea that I can only control me, it allows me the freedom to, without judgment, but with objectivity, to be able to say, okay, I can love you where you are, even though I'm not going to stay there. That's right. And so those are the things that I want to salute us, being the same generation. That's right. Of being able to show our children what evolution looks like. That's right. Because it's a choice. We're each here for our own individual journey and path, right? But imagine if you had stayed thinking the same way you did when you were 15. Correct. Imagine if I had stayed the same way I was thinking or even behaving at 15. Right. So I could tell some stories, but this is your interview, not mine, okay? So, but do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so I mean, I know that those things are challenging, but we have done the things to create new sites with our own families, while also still having that love, abundant love, for our ancestors and our parents that are still here. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I am with my family as well as my children. All of my children are adults. My oldest son is 34, and then my baby is 25. Unless they let me in, I don't get involved. I don't get involved because at some point they're gonna come back. I never wanted to be that parent or that person that say, "I told you so." Never wanted to be that person. So sometimes you gotta just let people go through what they're gonna go through until they come back and say, "I need some help." And for me, I've never been afraid to ask for help. Never been afraid to ask for help. If I stood around you long enough and we hang out long enough, especially if don't let me look up to you. I got several. My mom to this day know I have other mothers. Not because they birthed me, but because they taught me something. Yeah, they took me under their wing. They taught me something. They still teaching me. I have one I look at her, she's my spiritual mom, but she's my coach. And if she can tell if something ain't right, she helped me in business. I learned from her, she learns from me, we help each other. Because life is just it's a big teaching pool. In order for you to get better, you gotta be able to see somebody else's perspective other than your own. Absolutely. I mean, and you know what? That's why we have to just take up that torch and continue to move our families on and our communities. And then for you, like I started this interview off saying, the reason I asked you to come here is because you don't just do this in your own family. No. You don't just do this in your own business. No. You are connected to the city of Portsmouth in such a way, because I really love Portsmouth. I do too. And I can admit that I don't really have as much of the history. Now I do have a lot, because my first company that I ever was with in real estate was First Providence Realty. Okay. So I used to be right there on High Street at that office with Tracy Brown. Okay. And he was my first broker. Okay. And I would be there, but I was a lady who lunched, so I would not stay there for the whole day. I'd go right down to Roger Brown, eat chicken wings, not doing none of the stuff I was supposed to be doing in the first probably 5 years of my career. I was just lucking up on stuff, And so that's when I started my love of Portsmouth. So to see things to change, I've lived in Olde Towne before, to see things have changed, but it never, for me coming from Baltimore, it's just never been a place that I felt unsafe, right?
Gotcha.
So I'm just not, to me, nowhere in Hampton Roads. Growing up where I grew up, and I don't know why people think all of Baltimore is the projects. It is not the project. I grew up in a regular middle class neighborhood that was just, torn apart by drugs like so many of our communities. And so I know what unsafe looks like. And I just have not, in my almost 30 years of being here, I've had times when I've been out at night that I felt unsafe, But as far as my daily walk and going to this gas station or this place or this or that, I've never felt unsafe here just because I know what real danger is. So everyone perceives in their own environment to understand what it is. So it's never been scary to me. So to just see it coming up, to just see it getting more notoriety for the good of what Portsmouth offers, you're a part of that. So tell us, what and why does your love run so deep, and why do you continue to seek out these different community leaders to accomplish things for your neighbors?
Well, this is what I say. My business is predominantly the women hands that I touch. I touch about 100 women a month. Most of them are seniors. And most of our seniors are probably not on the internet. They sit home, they watch the news, they still got their flip phones. Some of them have up-to-date phones, but they don't really know how to use it in its entirety. And so I try to keep them aware of what is happening around us, because when you get invited into certain rooms, you hear it. You see the change that's coming. You paying attention to it. And some of them actually has helped me. I didn't learn about the mayor and all of that with the city until I got connected with one of my customers. She had a nonprofit, and she set me on her board. I had no idea, Tierra, what that was. Never had. I always had a love for youth. Always been my ministry, But I think the little girl in me, if I could say, because I was a teen mom, never really got to experience what it felt like to be a little girl. So you want to help those that you see in bad situations not stay there. And when we was coming up, we had a lot of resources out there we still have it now. It's just have a different label on it. And so I remember getting involved with people that's on the school board, like Clue Atkinson, Quinea, Fitrea, Tamara Shoemate, Cardell Patillo. We was just at an event at Cardell Patillo's installation service, and we sitting, me and my husband, sitting at the table with the senator, sitting at the table with one of the councilmen, having our luncheon. Even though we there with Cardell, they're sitting at our table. Me walking around the room, picking out people that was my principal when I was in high school, other community leaders. In that room was a bunch of leaders. And I remember when my bonus daughter had invited me up to Norcom High School, which I'm now an invested person with Portsmouth Public Schools, because I participate in their entrepreneurship program to help the youth know that you can be an entrepreneur at such a teenage year's age, because I have an 18-year-old licensed nail technician in my shop right now, because they have it in the school, You have to, if you want to grow beyond where you at, you have to put yourself around them. And so I try to find out the information, not just for myself, but for my customers, for the youth, for my siblings, for other community leaders. So in terms of, I remember asking Clue one time, I said, how can I get in some of these rooms? And she told me what the steps was, what to do, who to follow. When Pat introduced me to the mayor, Shannon Glover, it wasn't a good start in the beginning, but once the redemption came in, we've been like thick as I don't know what now. Anything I need, where I'm located at on High Street was a result of Shannon Glover. I knew nothing about High Street. Nothing.
So awesome.
I was gonna leave Portsmouth. My business was originally on airline, and I needed somewhere else to go because I've always had good experience with doing nails. But when I attached my retail store, I wanted a retail store because I started having problems with my joints and my hands. And so the doctor said, Lisa, you got to find something else to do because 25 years doing the same repetitious job,
especially with hands.
With hands, and you touching somebody else's hand, and a lot of times women are very tense.
Yes,
they're not relaxed; they're tense.
Are they?
So I'd be like, relax. They always tense. A lot of women are more tense than you know.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you got to think about it, we do a lot.
Yeah, no.
So we carry that stress.
I'm just thinking because I don't do nails.
Yeah.
So you figure,
and you can feel it.
Yeah, no,
you can feel
that's
it.
why
you take on
other people's energy.
Yes,
what do you do to keep your energy clear?
Pray.
So
pray.
Pray,
and I pray for each customer that walks through my door. I did something recently where when you come to me to get your services done, you fill out a customer profile sheet. They teach you that in school.
Okay.
You want to know if they got high blood pressure, if they have diabetes, if they got some kind of skin disorder. What is that? I'm trying to think of what is it called that some people have where they don't even have no feeling in their hands at all.
Oh yeah, neuropathy.
Neuropathy, thank you. Even that. So I said, okay, so what happens, and they don't teach you this in school. They teach you about the bone, the muscle, the tissue, and all that. And at the time, you're thinking, I'm doing nails. Why are they teaching us this? You realize that when it becomes a career, right? Holy Spirit told me when you go back to work, I started this last week, you need to get an emergency contact for each one of your customers. Because if they have a medical emergency in your salon, you know you're going to call 911.
Right. But
who else you going to call?
On their behalf. That's right.
So,
and then you can't get in people's phone nowadays, so you wouldn't even know who to call. That's very, very
correct.
Smart.
So that's what I started doing. I love my customers. I love them. And so because of Shannon, the funny thing was Shannon told me to reach out to this lady across the street that has a salon. So me and my husband driving up and down High Street because we just trying to check out the vibe.
Yes.
But before then, Holy Spirit told me to call Shannon because I was going to Virginia Beach. I said, Portsmouth ain't got enough land. I'm gonna go somewhere else and probably open up my establishment. I reached out to all my clients, see who was gonna follow me because a lot of my clients are seniors.
Right.
Predominantly.
Get to Virginia Beach.
And they don't like to drive.
Yeah.
Most of them don't like to drive. They like to do what they need to do in the area where they
get dropped off somewhere. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Shannon said, Lisa, come to Olde Towne. They building up Olde Towne. I'm thinking, Olde Towne? I've never thought Olde Towne.
I love
it. And I'm going to tell you, my mindset with Olde Towne, being that I lived in Portsmouth all my life, and I used to go to a church in downtown Portsmouth, I seen how it flooded. So that was the first thing that came to my mind, that if it flooded, how am I going to go to work? Never thought about what's happening right now. I love it. So he told me to go across the street. Went across the street, talked to her. Me and my husband coming down the street. I seen her in there moving. But I said, babe, it's closed. He said, baby, walk up to the door. You don't know what she going to do. Lord and behold, we walked up to the door. She opened her door. She had a conversation with us. If you know anything about the mayor, he's always walking. He's always visiting the businesses in the city, right? Because he's a businessman. And we just happened to see him walking that night. And I called him and I said, Mr. Mayor. Anybody that know me know I call him Mr. Mayor. And so he stopped and he talked to us. I introduced him to my husband. My husband switched cars with him because my husband has a business. And we got to talking. She said, Lisa needs to be right there across the street with those big windows front and center. She needs to be on this end of High Street. She don't need to be on this end. She needs to be right here. This is where people are looking for nails at. Never in a million years had I thought about that. From then, it was like, from me talking to Clue, from Pat getting me to talk to Shannon, from Shannon getting me to talk to Kristen across the street, everything was lining up. And right when COVID happened, Portsmouth Economic Development, I got connected to Brian Donahue. He told me, he said, your paperwork, because when COVID happened, everybody had to close down. That was in the salon.
Service.
At the time, it was Governor Northern. I called him and said, listen, my salon is one-on-one base. It's not a sit around a whole bunch of people. He said, because you are identified as a salon, you have to close down. How was I going to pay my bills? The city was giving out grants for those who were still running their business, even though it had to shut down. But they were still paying their bills because my landlord still wanted her rent. I was still paying my utilities. Brian Donahue said, your paperwork is the neatest paperwork I've ever seen. Ever seen that's come across our desk for this grant. And they gave me more. Because I was able to produce them what they were looking for.
Absolutely.
And I've been telling people, if you're not connecting yourself to economic development, they work for the business owners in the city. That's their mission. That's their goal, is to see the small business owners thrive and strive.
So now let me ask you a question. So with all this, have you ever thought about doing like counseling, like business counseling for business owners that are starting out in the city of Portsmouth? Because, I mean, really, that's what I feel like is like the thing. Like, I feel like that, like, you know all the resources, right?
Right.
You know the people,
Right.
but those are your connections, things that you've cultivated, right? But we in this leadership course together.
Exactly.
And so, you know, I just would like to throw my head in the ring to say that I'm the person mentioning to Lisa.
Yes.
That maybe, you know, that would be something that could also, you know, help you to, not that we know you got money, Lisa. Okay? I'm looking at we know you got money, okay? So we ain't worried about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, another line where you could maybe help, because, you know, since being in the class, like, I said I would never leave Norfolk, and I'm not committed to leaving Norfolk, okay? Norfolk is our home, okay?
Right.
But, I mean, it's so much amazing stuff going on in Portsmouth. Just think about how many businesses, think about how many people in our class,
Right.
just in these past few weeks,
Right.
that you done just said, call this person,
Right.
talk to this person.
Right.
These the people.
Right.
Imagine, because you know, I told you I wrote that book.
Yes.
And the reason I told you I wrote that book is because I kept giving it away. And the people I give it away to, they don't value it because it's free.
That's right.
Right? So they don't do nothing with it. And the ones that did do something with it are succeeding. Right? Same thing. Now we can get information away, but when it's free, certain people not gonna value.
Right.
But when it comes with a cost,
Correct.
then, you know, not only might that be another lane that you could open up that has no bearing on your beautiful soft hands, right? But you have the space already.
Right.
And you have a super big window.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
I threw it out there, y'all.
Well, just for the record, I have reached out to someone.
Okay.
I have reached out to someone. She's very prominent in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Many people who's in business and serious about business, and most people who are coaches, they probably know who she is.
Yes.
I'm gonna just Patrice McKnight.
Okay.
I can reach out to her.
Okay.
She actually does teach on coaches and getting you licensed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do right now still tell people how to connect. I do connect people together.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my retail store is all about.
Absolutely.
Connecting other business owners with each other. That's why I'm connected to 5 other women in business, and I give people the opportunity to grow their craft, be exposed in their craft, and make some money at the same time.
Absolutely.
So I have reached out, but it's nothing on her. It's me making time to sit down to take this course, pay for, because you got to pay for it. Anything you do, you got to pay for it.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, you know what? We're gonna talk more off camera, about that, because I think that does have value for you in business coaching and all of that.
Right.
But I'm just saying, we're gonna talk more about it. But what I want the audience to know is that this is actually the first episode where, as we close out this conversation, you're gonna see a tour of Lisa's salon and retail store. Okay, so do not click off at the very end when we're waving, because the tour is coming right up. Okay, I want you guys to see this business, see this location, and you're also going to see Olde Towne Portsmouth and that main thoroughfare of High Street, because I want you guys to know that although Portsmouth gets a bad rap, it is one of the most charming cities in Hampton Roads. Not only that, it's one of the only places where you can consistently get good food too. Now, somebody need to say it, okay?
Yeah,
somebody need to say it. It's more good restaurants in Portsmouth than I would say combined in the other 6 cities, okay? Now, the other cities do have food, but Portsmouth has soul food, seafood, fine dining, right? And multiple fine dining establishments, okay? Both Black and other owned, okay? You have so much charm in Portsmouth. There are always local markets and farmers markets and just so many things. And for it to be only truly about 10, 11 square miles of livable, usable land, it means everyone is compact, but it's such a friendly environment. So when the news is giving this, overview of Portsmouth, it really is about a 6 square block radius where all that is occurring, and slowly but surely even that is shrinking, because I know when I first moved here, Prentice Park was considered one of the worst areas in Hampton Roads. The funny thing about it is investors knew better. And over the past 4 or 5 years, there are more new construction, beautiful new construction and rehabbed from the ground up homes in Prentice Park. I mean, and you always know, like I say, once you see them golden doodles, it's over. Because 3 years ago, those properties were going for 300. Now they're closer to 400. And the proximity to the water is literally like a mile. And once they complete that little walkability, where you got the Y, once they complete that walkability from the Y down to the waterfront with the redevelopment they have happening on the waterfront, that land is going to be worth so much more. So I just, like I said, I just wanted you to get on here and tell us about how have you been able, through every twist and turn of your life, right, to maintain this positive, amazing, winning mindset. Just tell us.
I would say what got me to this point is one, God. But before I even found God, I'm that type of person. I'm gonna prove you wrong, and I'm not even gonna say nothing, but I'm gonna prove you wrong. Because you gotta imagine this young girl coming down, and I had children young. People would say what I wasn't going to become, and because they said what I wasn't gonna become, I wanted to show them what I could become. And so I don't let people tell me what I can or what I can do. I'm going to show you what I will do. But to your point, I will say this. You said, because you said it. You said it about the commitment. Look at it. I want you to look at it several ways. You can still be committed to Norfolk, but Portsmouth as well. I had someone to reach out to me just a week ago. She has a salon in Norfolk. I do not know her from a can of paint, but I commented on her post. And she said, I live in Portsmouth and I would like to have somewhere for my Portsmouth clients to go. Now I would say this, doctor's office do it all the time. Lawyers do it all the time. Psychiatrists and psychologists do it all the time. They have customers in every city and they got an office in every city to make it convenient for their clients. So that's something to think about, right?
And it is something to think about because you figure that we have some time coming up on, because I keep telling y'all we're coming up on year 5 celebration, and I have been thinking about that. So we'll talk more about that off camera, because my whole thing is expansion. This is our year to expand. Our company is growing. Your company is growing. I mean, we're gonna figure out some ways to partner.
Winning mindset, flawless living, made simple. Tierra Walker, hustle and shine. We on the grind, never taking time. Every single day, we hustle and we shine. From the bottom to the top, watch us climb. We on the grind, it's our time. We on the grind, never taking time.
Okay, so now that you have had the opportunity to visit Nailz and More, located at 614 High Street in the lovely city of Portsmouth, Virginia, 23704 in the Olde Towne community, I would say consistency is the key to any successful business owner. Whether you are an inspiring entrepreneur or a youth thinking about being an entrepreneur, I would say stay consistent, get yourself a mentor, be open and willing to be coached so you can take this opportunity, take it all in and learn. Because Portsmouth is the place you want to be. Thank you so much, Lisa!